Let's bring in national security and military analyst, Lexington Institute senior fellow, Dr. Rebecca Grant, along with former ambassador at large and counter-terrorism coordinator, Atlantic Council non-resident senior fellow, Nathan Sales. Thank you both so much for being here. And Dr. Grant, I want to come to you first, but first I want to play another clip of Mike Waltz at the UN today, where he seemed to make pretty clear to me that the U.S. is looking for regime change here. Let's listen to the ambassador.
The United States does not recognize Nicolas Maduro or his cronies as the legitimate government of Venezuela. Nicolas Maduro is a fugitive from American justice and the head of the foreign terrorist organization Cartel de los Soles.
So, Dr. Grant, we're going after drug boats, we're going after sanctioned oil tankers, but are we really going after Maduro here, and is it all about regime change at the end of the day?
Well, Ambassador Mike Waltz did a great job, and he really laid it on the line. And, you know, the thing that stood out to me is he said that this cartel run by Maduro and the narco-terrorists and their illegal drugs, crimes, friendship with Russia and all this, this is the #1 threat to the U.S. in the Western Hemisphere. And yes, wouldn't it be nice to have Maduro gone? They're really squeezing his money machine, and the oil tankers are his lifeline. And Ambassador Waltz made it really clear we are going to go after those sanctioned tankers, whatever it takes.
So, Nathan, do you see this as wouldn't it be nice as a side effect if Maduro was gone? Or is this a strategy to squeeze and squeeze and squeeze until something happens in Venezuela that forces Maduro out, whatever that might be, whether it's an uprising of the Venezuelan people or whether it is further military action by the U.S.?
Well, Jonathan, that does seem to be the goal, a Venezuela that is free from Maduro and his socialist dictatorship that has afflicted the country for decades. I don't know that regime change is the right word for this policy, because Maduro is not the legitimate leader of Venezuela. He's in power because he keeps stealing elections, as we heard from Ambassador Waltz. So I think watch this space very closely. We are applying maximum economic pressure to the regime. 70% of its revenue comes from its oil exports. If we start seizing sanctioned vessels that are operating in violation of U.S. law, that is going to bring down the house of cards that is the Venezuelan economy. So watch this space. The ball is in Maduro's court. Does he step down peacefully, or does he dig in his heels and put his country through more economic pain?
Venezuela's ambassador also spoke at the UN today. Dr. Grant, we should listen to that as well, and I'll get your reaction on the back of it.
Venezuela no es la amenaza.
Venezuela is not the threat. The threat is the failure to comply with international law. The world knows that if the scale of armed attacks continues, we will exercise with all determination our inalienable right to self-defense in accordance with Article 51 of the United Nations Charter.
Our inalienable right to self-defense, Dr. Grant. That sounds like the Venezuelans are happy to bring on the fight. There's only one winner in that, isn't there?
I think this move at the UN is kind of their last shot. They really don't have enough military capability to back this up. They're hoping China, their big oil customer, is going to do something, but it's not going to work. You know, Maduro's got a bounty on his head. Many countries around the world recognize he's not the legitimate leader. No hope there.
Yeah, and Nathan, I wonder what you make of the way that China and Russia are obviously watching this. The UN action happened with their backing. What do you think? How do you think they're positioning themselves on this?
Well, I think they're waiting to see what the United States approach is going to be. China is a resource-poor country. They have to import oil. They get it from Iran. They get it from Russia. They might get a substantial percent from Venezuela. And if you see a pattern there, it's because there is one. China and Russia and Venezuela and Iran are all in cahoots together. They want to displace the United States as the world's leading superpower, and energy is part of it, but military cooperation is another. And part of the reason why the Trump administration is so focused on the threat that Venezuela poses to us, it's not just narcotics, it's not just the threat of socialist dictatorship, it's this government is host to some of the worst elements in the world. The most anti-American regimes have a presence in Venezuela and are cooperating with Caracas to the detriment of the United States. And that, I think, helps explain why the White House is so focused on this threat.
Yeah, and real quick, just on another international story and news of note, perhaps, we hope. Dr. Grant, how do you see these Ukraine talks that are ongoing? Ukraine and Russia, led by the U.S., of course. How do you see them playing out? Any optimism that we might see a peace deal in 2026?
Well, Zelensky seems to feel some optimism, and I think the security guarantees to Ukraine are solid. You know, tanks, air power, the guarantees from NATO partners. But the problem is Putin likes the war. 600 drones again last night, 38 missiles in Poland, had to scramble fighter jets due to errant drones. Putin still has a taste for war. We've got to convince him to get to a ceasefire.
Right. Still a very dangerous neighborhood. Dr. Grant, Dr. Rebecca Grant, Nathan Sales, thank you so much for being with us tonight.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.